Hi everybody. So I've tried to make this video about 5 different times and people keep walking in or I have to leave or oh, I've got a pimple. Huh. That's so funny. Sorry. Um and I just haven't been able to finish this. So maybe the sixth time will be a charm. Anyway, it is November 1st and I was very rudely awakened by a lot of arguing this morning. First at 4 a.m., start at 4 a.m., finally get to sleep, and then it starts again at 9 a.m. I'm so mad. But I guess that's one of the things that ends up happening when you're living chaotically, as I am. Although I found out that they turned away something like 60 people over the course of 6 weeks just after I got here. So, yeah, I lucked out, so I can't complain too much about it because, could be worse. I could be sleeping in a tent, right? So, anyway, this month since I last checked in, I've managed to get through a couple of books. And the first one was the audiobook of Blackboard Jungle. I bought that on Chirp. I don't remember the exact price I paid for it, but if you're new to Chirp and you would like to check it out, I will put a link in the doobly doo where you can pick up the audiobook for $2. So can't go wrong. Chirp is always great. They have wonderful deals. Again, I'm not an affiliate. I'm just a fan. So they have no membership fees. They have deals every day. And yeah, it's just a really good service that you can sign up for. So all that out of the way, the Blackboard Jungle is written by Evan Hunter, who's better known by his other pseudonym. He's got a whole bunch of pseudonyms. And he wrote the 87th Precinct series of crime novels. And I can't remember, I can never remember his real name. So, Evan Hunter, his real name was... Oh, look at that. Sorry. Oh, Salvatore Albert Lombino. One thing... All right, so the Blackboard Jungle was loosely based on Evan Hunter's experiences as a teacher in the New York City school system. And it's a story about a young man. It's his first teaching assignment, and he's at a rough school, vocational school called North Manual Trades. So we start out, and he's in his entry interview, and he gets the job over somebody else that he knew. So, and you can see he kind of feels a little bad about it, but at the same time, the other guy doesn't really want to, teach at a vocational school. And I believe he's a veteran as well. So he's kind of faced rougher things than this, is his reasoning, right? So he makes friends with a couple of the other teachers that are starting with him. One is, I think his name is Edwards, if I'm not mistaken, and another is a young woman named Lois. And I'll get to Lois in a minute because her portrayal really irritated me. And he's got, I think there's 7 periods, and one of them's a free period. And he's not doing too badly with most of them, but then there's one that's a remedial reading class, and the kids give him a hard time all the time. He hates it. He doesn't like most of the kids. They really don't like him. His name's Richard Daddy-A, but they call him Daddy-O, which, of course, writes itself, right? And he does manage to bond with one of the kids, a young man by the name of Miller. And in the movie version, he's played by Sidney Poitier, Sidney Poitier's first role. And it's hard to not spoil what happens. So there's one scene which Uh, boy, oh boy, oh boy. Okay, so this is how we see Lois. I mean, anytime he's talking about Lois, he's talking about her tits. I mean, just purely objectified. So if this is what the men in this universe think of the women, well, of course, she is one of the students tries to rape her the first day, and which in itself is bad enough. But then later on, he's talking to her, and she's so bored with her job that she almost wishes this kid would go through with it. Okay, no woman. Here's what irritates me: no woman wants to be raped, okay? Shout it from the rooftops, guys. No woman wants to be assaulted, especially not if she's just doing her fucking job. Okay, NPSA. Excuse me. But the way that, I mean, we never find anything out about Lois except that she's got nice tits. Like, seriously, dude? This is, the depiction of women in this book is just terrible. And then there's another teacher who is ironically named Manners, who is a pedo. He's disgusting. He wants to go to the all-girls school so that he can sleep with his students. Like, and nobody calls him on it. I mean, inappropriate. Guy, what the hell? Illegal. I just, and that's, and I don't care where you are, modern lens or not. No, the child is under 17 in the state of New York. It's fucking illegal. What the hell? So anyway, and never mind all the everything else about it that's disgusting. Anyway, and the other students or the other teachers don't call this guy on it. They don't say, "Hey, that's fucking gross." So, oh, and yet, and this guy at the end of it gets rewarded by going out with Lois. Like, ew. What he had to settle for her? Isn't she a little too old for him? I don't know. Anyway, just, it's a very masculine novel, and that's fine. And again, that's fine. There's nothing wrong with it, but there is very definite sort of toxic masculinity that goes through it. Where was I going with that? Okay, where was I going with that? Sorry. I just saw another Gavin Newsom meme, and I was trying not to laugh, so I kind of lost my train of thought. So anyway, so he goes through, and then a bunch of different things happen. There's a confrontation at the end of it. He's always trying to decide whether or not he's going to quit, but mostly it's his relationship with Miller. The one kid that he does kind of get through to, that he's gonna he's gonna keep doing his job. He's gonna keep trying, because those are the kids that kind of make it matter in the end. And yeah, you really, now, aside from the depiction of women, which is terrible, you do feel bad for Miller, because he's a good kid, and you know that he could go further if he weren't stuck in this. Sorry, I've got a dry skin on my nose now. It's bothering me. Anyway, there we go. That's better. Jeez, I'm just all out of sorts today. I'm sorry. Anyway, you really do feel bad about Miller, because he's very clearly, he's smart, he's talented, he should have options, but it's the early 1950s. Segregation is still a thing. Jim Crow is still a thing, and he's probably not going to get very far. He's at this vocational school so that he can learn how to be a mechanic and at least have a job somewhere. And he's going to kind of get swallowed up by a system that hates him, and it's really too bad. There were passages that I liked. There was there was a passage where he talks about the different types of teachers. You've got, how was it that he put it? You've got people who sort of fight their way through it, and then you've got people who sort of sleep their way through it, and then you've got people who barely care about their job, and then you've got people who just kind of, they show up and they teach and they don't really care if they're getting through to anybody or not. They're just going through the motions. And he called them by different names. They were grumblers, slumberers. I think one was stumblers. That was really cool. And I also liked reading about the when he finally got the kids motivated just a little bit, just a little bit. It took him months, but he finally broke through to them and they were interested. And then there was one more thing that I did notice about the book, and that was its influence on Stephen King. Now, Stephen King has mentioned the Blackboard Jungle in various works. He mentioned it in Christine, because the main protagonist takes his date to go see Grease, and then he comes out complaining about Grease because he thinks it's stupid, and if he wants a high school movie, he'll watch the Blackboard Jungle. And I'm pretty sure King mentioned the Blackboard Jungle in Danse Macabre, one of those. I'm pretty sure he mentioned it in that, and it's sort of been dropped in here and there. Where I really found it was an influence is, if you remember the story, Sometimes They Come Back. Note for note, the interview talking about wanting a rough school, so he goes to trades. Even some of the confrontations with the kids. In the Blackboard Jungle, a kid throws a softball at the board, and Daddy picks it up and turns around and tells off the kids. Now, the King version was a little bit cruder, and it's a grapefruit, but it's very close to what happens. Like, there's definite mirroring there. And of course, King, ghost kids who have unfinished business is the part of the King story where it sort of veers off. But it definitely wears its influence on its sleeve. So I thought it was kind of fun reading, the source material for that. But overall, yeah, I'd give it a 4 out of 5. I really didn't like the depiction of women, but it was the time, and it's a very masculine, testosterone-y kind of experience. And I even looked up Evan Hunter's personal life. He has 3 sons, but they don't talk very much about his wife. He was married to a woman in 1997, but obviously that's well after his kids were born. So I don't know what happened with his other wives, but clearly there's not a whole lot of feminine influence going on there. All right, and then the other book that I read. Okay, I suppose I should explain why I picked it up. How do I explain this? I spent a lot of time around something called Girl World. It's a series it's a very loosely connected set of reaction channels who talk about these particular YouTube personalities who are overweight ladies who don't take accountability. So I can't even explain any more than that. If you know what it is, you know what it is. If you don't care. But I was on one of the subreddits and somebody suggested this book called Before and After. So I picked it up out of curiosity. And this actually was a really good book. It's about this guy. He's in Britain. And he is bedbound. He weighs 600 pounds. And he hasn't left his flat in 9 years. And he's only 25. Which is one of the things that's really... you feel kind of bad for the guy that he got to this point at such a young age, and he's never been anywhere, he's never traveled, he's never really done anything except YouTube. He's got some investments and everything is done from his flat, and he is particularly bound to his home because he's gotten too heavy to safely take the lift, so he can't even go out, he can't even go up and down because he can't get up and down the stairs. So when the book starts, they have to actually strap him to an airlift bed and take him out in a crane, so they have to take down one wall of his flat to do this. And because he's got to have his leg removed, he's got serious skin and diabetic sores and everything on his foot. Like he's in really bad shape physically. And just as they've got him strapped to the bed, they get a call, and suddenly the world ends. And this poor guy is left strapped to the bed while everybody runs off and nobody comes back for him. So he's got a dog that he's got to try to feed and take care of. And he spends the next however many months in this enforced starvation. And it's called Before and After because it goes back and forth to his life starting as a teenager, how he got to this point, and then what he does living after the world ends. And the cause of the world ending is some kind of plague. It's kind of like 28 Days Later, where there are like these fast moving, really really angry zombies. He calls them wraths throughout the story. And much along the lines of I Am Legend or that sort of post-apocalyptic story, it's the story of one guy trying to survive and figure out how he's going to live through this world, on top of the fact that he basically is forced to lose weight because he's starving, which is kind of an interesting premise, this forced survival and how he gets around it. So the last couple of chapters did get a little bit far-fetched. I mean, you don't turn into some kind of heroic guy just because you do push-ups in your room. And how he deals with his leg is also a bit far-fetched because no. No. But other than that, it was really well-paced and gruesome in all the right places, and surprisingly gripping, given that, yeah, it's just one guy in his head. I mean, he doesn't have too many people to talk to. He's got a dog, and how he's going to navigate through this world. So I enjoyed it more than the Blackboard Jungle, almost. I wouldn't say almost. I'd say very different stories. But stories of toxic masculinity are always kind of interesting anyway. So, all right, I think that'll do it for me. I have started Watership Down, and I haven't started any of the Edgar Allan Poe stories yet. November is usually, what's November? Native American History Month, and it's also nonfiction November usually, I think. But the one book that I would kind of like to tackle is, it's called, what's the name of it? So I follow a TikToker by the name of, she goes by Unlearn16, and she is a teacher. I believe she teaches in Toronto, and I think she teaches at a private, possibly high school or middle school, and she talks about politics, civics, and what she does is she encourages her students. She doesn't teach just facts and figures and history. She teaches critical thinking, and she says that she gives her students a way to look critically at the things that they're learning, and to learn, and to suss out propaganda and all the different things that are coming at them. And I think that that's a really, really interesting approach to education. And her book is called That's Not What This Book Is About. So it's a series. It looks to be a series of essays. The introduction's by Jan Arden. So I will report back on that if anybody's interested. I don't know. She's. I would recommend following her on TikTok. I don't know if she's on YouTube or other platforms. I've mostly only seen her on TikTok. So, all right. So that was it. Blackboard Jungle by Evan Hunter. Before and After. I think the author of that one is Shenahan, Andrew Shenahan, I think. Let me just look that up for you. Andrew Shenahan is the author of that one. So, alrighty. I hope you're reading lots of horror. Have a great day.